Welcome, everybody. Nice to see you. It's 8:30 on Wednesday, September 7th, 2022. We'll call the meeting to order for the Downtown Lexington Management District. Note on screen and in person, we have a quorum of, looks like 11 people, which is great. So that'll go through that. The first item on the agenda, which you should have gotten a packet of, are the minutes from the last board meeting of July the 6th. Do you have any motions, corrections, amendments to those meetings? Minutes, please.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. We have a second. Any other discussion on those minutes? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, great. I see Miss Laura on our Zoom. Laura, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you for having me this morning.
Absolutely. Tell us what's going on for the DLP, please.
I am happy to do so. First, again, I just want to thank you all for inviting us back. I hope you know that DLP is still very invested in DL&D and the work that David and your team does. We really appreciate staying involved. Obviously, this means a lot to us. So I'm just going to back up really quickly. And again, thank you all for your participation in the State of Downtown. That feels like a lifetime ago, but it was mid-June. Jim came and spoke. We had about 100 guests at Lex Live, and overall it was a really good program. We produced the State of Downtown report, which is posted on our website. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out. It is full of really interesting info. Again, thank you. Looking forward, we are about 3/4 of the way through the Central Bank Thursday Night Live season. It runs through October 13th. We have 6 weeks left. Again, David and his team are always just in the area, and it's really appreciated that they're there and, helping move the art cards in if that's needed, anything like that. And then finally, we are working from an event side on the Breeders' Cup Festival with Kip Cornett and the Festival Planning Committee. That is going to be October 30th, which is a Sunday, through Saturday, November 5th. DLP specifically has been charged with planning the Tandy Park takeover. So that'll be live music every day, Monday the 31st through Friday or through Saturday, kind of like a TNL, but doubled up. We're going to do 2 bands, food, drinks. Should be a huge crowd downtown. I know Kip's got some tricks up his sleeve. If you haven't seen everything he's planning on yet, check their website out. It's going to be a really great time. And then, of course, Christmas and fall will be here before you know it. So we are rocking and rolling.
Any questions for Laura? Well, Laura, thank you very much. We want to make sure we continue to communicate with each other and work together. Anything we can do to help you, please don't hesitate to call on myself, Carla, or anybody, okay?
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. We have a Breeders' Cup festival update from our own Mary Quinn. I see you, Miss Quinn. Hello, Mary. You want to tell us what's going on, Mary Quinn?
With respect to the festival, as Laura mentioned, we are knee-deep in planning. Kip Cornett is spearheading the festival week, and as Laura mentioned, we're going to have just jam-packed downtown. Should be a lot of fun. We're trying to paint the town purple, so I encourage you, if you have a place of business, whether it be some purple moms or purple tent cards on your tables, anything that you can do to sort of embrace the spirit. Got a couple of really cool things planned in and around light projection. I'm excited to see what those look like as they come to life, and really hoping just to have a world-class celebration that week. We'll also be broadcasting the racing as we get closer to race day on Friday and Saturday, and so I would just encourage everyone to stay in touch with the festival website, and we'll be posting information as it becomes solidified. There's lots of moving pieces, parts and pieces, but I think everything is taking shape, and if our hotel occupancy is any indication of the number of visitors we're going to have in town, it's going to be pretty tremendous. So very excited.
That's great. What if anything, do you need from this group to facilitate you and Laura, what you're all doing?
I really think just, David and his team do an awesome job, but making sure that all of our ambassadors are fully prepped, have all the resources that they need, working also alongside Lex Park to make sure that they've got all the resources that they need. And so we want to make sure that as folks are meandering around, that they are able to get answers to their questions and made to feel welcome. And then, of course, there's a lot of coordination with the city on just landscaping, some cleanup, and trying to make sure that downtown looks as great as we've ever seen it.
Did you get all your things worked out with the building, the Festival Market building?
Yes, Visit Lex, as a sidebar, Visit Lex is planning something fun to dress up the windows there at the old Festival Market building. As you all know, that corner is a pretty prominent corner, and right now it's just sitting there empty, so we're going to do a really fun little wrap activation there that we hope will be very much in the spirit of what it means to be horse capital of the world, and also be some eye candy for that corner.
That's great. That's great. Any questions for Mary Quinn? Anybody?
I will say one last thing too, if anybody here is particularly interested, Visit Lex and Breeders' Cup are working on a toolkit that we're going to be pushing out the 1st of October. Laura, I'll make sure that you have a copy of that. You can send it out to the DLP list. Carla, likewise, I'll make sure you have a copy of it. We're targeting, obviously, hospitality businesses, but it's just all kinds of tips and tricks to make Breeders' Cup come alive at your own place of business. And so if you want to share that, feel free. The more the merrier. We're just trying to make sure that that gracious welcome that we're known for is on proud display that weekend.
And I had a question. Are you working with the property owner over there at the old Festival Market as far as, because that's one of the spots where we have a lot of people that sleep in those cutout areas over there. And we usually get them up in the mornings, but sometimes their security won't even bother to come out to wake them up. So would it be possible for you to talk to the property owner and make sure that they do?
You're muted. You're muted.
I'm sorry. I certainly can have that conversation, and will do my best to encourage that. And I also have been talking with the building is for sale, I think, as you all know, and there's a lot of activity and conversation happening in and around that particular block. And so I will have conversations with the parties that have helped me get access to the building, also about the security.
Yeah, it's kind of an awkward time. It's under contract and the closing is not that far away, so we're kind of in a holding pattern of two different folks. So, but Mary Quinn and I have talked to both sets, so I think between everybody, we'll make sure, David, that we do the best we can to keep it as picturesque as possible. So.
Yeah, I was going to mention also City Center, the office building, is going to light up in purple for 10 days before Breeders' Cup. We're trying to determine right now with Brandy Steckinger if we have multiple purples or just one, but to try to match their purple as close as we can get. But and then the Jumbotron in the courtyard, I think she's going to utilize some of that for Breeders' Cup as well.
Woodford, would you send me, when that happens, would you send me some pictures? I'd like to promote that on social media.
And maybe they're testing it out sometime where we can get a photo.
That'd be great.
Yeah. I'll see what I can find out.
Let me know when you start that. I'll try to get the parking garage to do the same thing.
Okay, I think it's about 10 days before the Friday start.
Okay.
She wants to light it up all week.
Yeah, I think that's great. Yeah, we'll do the same with the Lex Park parking garage.
Right.
Yeah.
And then also with all the people coming into town, Mary Quinn, I guess is the city prepared security-wise, police-wise for, I mean, if the weather's nice, there'll be people all over the streets.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, there's a meeting Thursday, I guess it's Thursday, with the mayor specific to security with Breeders' Cup staff. And so I think the conversations are certainly taking place, and Councilmember LeGree may have some additional context for all that, but I do know that Drew Fleming and team have been in touch and are working to make sure those communication lines are wide open and ready to roll.
And there may be people walking. I think they utilize the apiary a lot, Breeders' Cup, or they're out of town.
Yes.
Yes, and so there may be people walking from downtown up Jefferson too. So that.
I think
just thought about that. You might want to watch those corridors.
yeah, I think that's part of the conversation for tomorrow's meeting agenda as well, is just the foot traffic and just where the hotels are located, restaurants, that sort of journey that the visitor would have.
Good. Anything else, anybody? I do not know where our beloved treasurer is. I've texted him twice and I have not heard from him. It's not like him. I hope everything's all right. In your packet are the financials that Juan put together for all of us to look at. I would not do it justice as he does to go through them. I think they're fairly self-explanatory with regard to what we have in the bank, the 86,000 plus what we spent current budget versus actual. And the only major difference this year, as you all know, is our grant we got from the city, as well as our own funds to fund the added security at Tandy Park. So other than that, I don't know if anything, want to point anything else out? Anybody have any questions on the financials? We received no more money between now and probably November. I got in, I think, a check the other day for $125. It was something, that comes from from David O'Neill's office now, or from Blevins rather, not from the sheriff. So I think we're pretty much done with our income for the year. But that's the cycle we run in, as you all know. Any questions on financials? Hannah, can you get access now?
Yeah, I'm here.
Good.
Which is what I was first.
Great. Good.
And Juan is on the call. I don't know if.
Oh, there he is. Did I not just? Juan, I'm sorry.
I didn't see him.
I did not see you. Juan, do you want to go ahead and run through the financials with us? I apologize. I did not see you.
No problem. I actually got a text and I realized, oh my goodness, it's 8:30, not 9 o'clock. In my mind, I had it 9 o'clock. Yes, I will be more than happy. As you can see, and you were right, we basically have received all the money for last fiscal year, all the taxes. We probably will be getting a little bit trickling in from previous years, but that's normally something that we don't count on because, unfortunately, it is not, we don't know. It's something that past year taxes and so forth. So we will probably see this one and next month being the ones that we dip into our savings and dip into our extra money. As far as I look at it, we should have plenty of money until November when we receive that first check. The only thing that probably we need to look at and be very careful is the money that we're paying for block by block. That continues to be our largest expenditure, and therefore it always concerns me. But it's nothing that it looks out of balance. Everything looks fine. As you can see in the balance sheet, we have a total of $83,763. We should only need about 70 of those. So we should be okay with the money that we've been carrying. And again, last year we went down to $15,000. It is very normal at this time. I've learned not to get excited or not to worry about it. But we do need to be extremely careful on how we spend. So overall, between July and August, we have a net income of only $2,535 with expenditures of $88,762. Unfortunately, that makes us look in the red by $86,000, but as I indicated before, it is very normal. The first 3 months are always critical. We just need to watch what we spend. The $10,000 that you see in the improvement grant was to Central Bank Center for the moving of the statue that was approved in the previous year. So we're basically paying it from last year's approval grant. And the last one, as far as budget, the only one, like I said, that I'm concerned by very little, is not much, is line 6200, block by block services. Year to date, we are over by 141.50 on the services, and a little bit over on the downtown security by 1,639. So the rest of the monies will make up as we go through the year, because unfortunately my budget is linear, and so we don't account, for example, for the grant disbursements. We don't account them until the year end. So we continue to use those monies as they were approved. Every one of those monies will be carefully analyzed and presented to the board for approval. So other than that, I think we're doing very, very well. No strange happenings, and I think it's in line with what we've done last year. Any questions?
Refresh my memory, Juan and David. We downsized one ambassador, right?
Yes.
All right.
Removed the hospitality ambassador. That was 20 hours a week. So
Okay.
that was the only one.
Okay. And everything else is the same, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And
Correct.
Juan,
And if you look at that line, it's line 6210, the ambassadors, they are basically under budget. So I used last year's budget to calculate this. With the reassignment of that one ambassador, we should be catching up, and any overages on the services, I think, will be caught up in the savings of the ambassador.
I did add another ambassador, but it won't be an extra charge to the management district. It's on that block by block. But I was able to add an extra charge just to have the flexibility. It's on that block by block. But I was able to add extra just to have the flexibility. Was that me?
that was you.
Well, it adds the flexibility once follow me starts. Have the flexibility to move that person around.
Brian, we're getting all kinds of feedback down here.
Yeah, they need to mute.
Y'all probably need to mute if we're not talking. I think that's what's going on.
I'm gonna mute everybody who's not talking.
Thank you, Brian. So you've added one other person, but block by block is picking that up. It's not going to be charged to the management
The
district.
bill's gonna stay the same, but I did add one extra person.
Okay.
Give me a little more flexibility.
Yeah, okay, good. And Juan, have you kept a running total where we are with the sheriff's department on our contract with her for added security? How much we spent? How much is our funds, the city's funds? Where are we?
I did, but unfortunately, I'm in a computer that does not have that information. I will send to everyone that, but yes, I will send the total spend from inception of that project till now.
Because it's a $60,000 all-in contract, and the period of time is supposed to allow us to get to our goal line of that 11/5 that weekend, November the 5th.
Yes, if we spend correctly, here's the problem that I've encountered. Unfortunately, and it's a problem for us, but we are picking up a lot of the officers in their overtime. So we're paying overtime rate. We're not paying regular rate. But it appears to me that we will be at the 60,000 mark by November. So we have 2.5 months to go. We're still under the 60,000, well under the 60,000. With any monies coming in, we should be fine.
Okay. Any questions of Juan of the financials? Okay, hearing none, I guess I'd like to have a motion to approve the financial report as presented by Juan. We have a motion. Do we have a second? I see a second. Thank you, Tanya. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, Hannah, I'll come back to you now. You have an LFUCG update for us?
I do, thank you, Jim. And Vice Mayor Kay is on here as well. And I think that some of what I'm going to share is going to go well with what Commander Johnson is going to talk about. So just know that if you have questions, we may have more details from other people on the line as well. Some of this is a little bit of a status update, but we want to make sure that we're sharing accurate information and letting you all know where all of these projects are. You may have seen, and I know, Jim, that you added to this, the press release from the mayor's office about some of the efforts downtown. In terms of lighting, I want to share that all of the LED lights for the street lights have been installed along Short Street, so that portion of our lighting project is complete. All of the additional lighting that's going to be added to Tandy Park is slated to be done by the second week of September, so that's really exciting. We've continued to meet with our downtown safety work group, and I see that Dougie is on here, and he's the chair of that, and have been conferring with public safety, with the mayor's office, and with downtown businesses about some of these steps. But you all may have seen that police are bagging the meters on Short Street on the weekends to help stop congregating in parking areas, and I believe those hours. The bags go on earlier, but I believe the hours of limitation are from 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. Is that correct, Commander Johnson? Okay. Last week, Dougie was there, Jennifer Taylor was there, Councilmember Ellinger was there, and I was as well. We met with representatives from S&P, the people who own the parking lot, a couple of the lots downtown. They have an on-site representative, Sean, and we just met to make sure we were on the same page, to make sure there are open lines of communication, to help make sure that we're sharing accurate information, and they want to be good partners, and you all have seen the additional lights in those lots, and those seem to be helping. Let's see, I'd like to share one last thing. You all may have seen reduced hours at Tandy Park and signage indicating as much. Tandy Park is closing 1 hour earlier at this point. So they are now closed from 2 a.m. until 6 a.m. in that park. This is outside of the 3rd district, but I think it's relevant. Along with Councilmember Reynolds, we've been having meetings with folks over in and around Triangle Park. So there's some additional signage there. That's a private park, not a city park. And the signage for loitering and alcohol consumption in certain areas of the park has been put up so that their private security can better enforce some of those regulations. You all may have seen there's a restaurant open in Triangle Park, which is so wonderful. So you have another spot to check out downtown if you've not gone there yet. I do want to provide one last thing, the Town Branch Park construction update. Again, you all are in and around downtown, you've seen some of this, but the final pavers on the trail are currently being installed along Midland Avenue and will be all placed within this next month. And then there'll be a recirculating decorative water fountain in that same area that's still underway, and that will be complete by the end of September. Wayfinding and educational signage has recently been installed, so that signage is really beautiful, and it's cool to be walking along the trail and see people reading about all of the features and about the history there. And then an expanded online virtual tour will be released this fall from partners with Bluegrass Green Source. So that's going to be great and interactive. You may have seen some of this already starting to go up, but street furnishings like tables, seating, trash cans, bike racks, a lot of those have been installed this summer, and we're starting to see people use them, which is great. And then, in terms of the final project, all trail construction work will be substantially complete by the end of September. And then, obviously, plantings and additional details are going to be added through the end of the year. And that includes replacement of any trees that did not survive the initial planting. So we've seen a couple of sad trees. Don't worry, we're going to replace those. And we are going to cut the ribbon on that in the beginning of October. So those are my updates for now, and I know that Commander Johnson may have additional information to share, and Vice Mayor Kay, I know that you're on here. Is there anything that you want to add?
Yeah, thanks. I don't mean to be hiding out, but my video cam is dying, and so if I start to fade into gray, I don't want to say exactly what it might be about. In any event, actually right now it doesn't look bad to me. So I just wanted to say a word or two about the Go Forward work group that I mentioned last month. a couple things I think that are important to note. The first is that the council recently approved the data set that the consultant had developed for the our predecessor, basically the sustainability task force. So those initial numbers were modified some, given comments from the community, but now that database will essentially be the starting place for analyzing available land within the urban service boundary. It'll be updated annually. We've already contracted with Stantec, the original consultant, to do that annual update. And that will be the first thing that we look at when we think about whether it's time to look at a possible expansion and include other lands into the urban service boundary. The Go Forward work group has accelerated its work. We were meeting every other week. We are now meeting weekly. We added a couple dates to the end of our calendar. We're still aiming to have our work done no later than the middle of October. I think it's going well. We've mainly been looking at suitability areas outside the urban service boundary, and we're beginning to look at the process that we need to be putting into place for how decisions will be made about how to use the data and other information when we're looking at expansion. So best of all possible worlds, we'll have our work done in time for the Planning Commission to make its recommendation to council about the goals and objectives for the updated comprehensive plan. So that's where that stands, and I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Any questions for Vice Mayor Kay or Council Member Legree? Anybody? Beverly, you had some questions about lighting, I think you mentioned to me.
Yes, I was just curious about the lights, like the portable lights that are now at the intersection of Main and Short Mill and Short, and Mill Street and Main Street, and then the small parking lot over behind the courthouse. They're really bright, but I just wondered when they were installed and how long they're going to be there.
Well, we might.
They look like they're from the police department.
They are. We might let that question hang in the air for a bit, and we'll let our next. I'm going to yield my time on Chairman's update to our special guest, Commander Al Johnson. Commander Johnson, thank you very much for your time and being here. The question was posed with regard to the extra lights that have been installed, the portable lighting downtown. I think Ms. Fortune was talking about it's very bright, and I guess that's the purpose of it. So could you maybe enlighten us a little bit on the lighting situation as well as what else is going on in our downtown core?
Sure, and I'm glad to be here. I'm new to the format, so if I overstep my back, something that we're not supposed to be talking about, just let me know. But the lighting in that particular area is because of the large crowds, and it's because of some of the problems that we have been experiencing with young people and drinking, fights, and things of those nature. So when you illuminate a particular area, it tends to keep people who are prone to causing problems away from the area. And the people that are there to enjoy themselves and have a good time don't tend to mind the lights. It's usually the problem makers that try to avoid the well-lit areas. As you know, the parking lots that we've had problems in, we've placed those lights in those lots as well, along with some of the owners of the parking lots who've been working with us. And those lights have been very helpful in reducing the number of fights we've had. It's been somewhat helpful in reducing the crowds that have gone out and want to hang out and drink in the parking lots. So anytime you illuminate an area, it tends to keep those who are causing problems away. So we should be only using those really on Fridays and Saturday nights. or nights that there are special events downtown. I don't know if that answers your question or not, but that's why we have them at those locations.
Yeah, I think it does. In general, Commander, how do you see the tenor of the downtown vibe? Is it, you think we're getting on top of it more, or is it about the same, or what's your read on it?
Well, coming into this position, I went downtown a couple of nights just to kind of get a feel for things. What has really changed during my duration, I'm here 26 years, downtown is the nightlife in downtown, nightlife I should say, has really exploded. It's almost like the 4th of July every Friday and Saturday nights, particularly Saturday nights, which, initially it's hard to get a handle on that due to the manpower restrictions that we have. We're no different than anybody else. We have limitations on personnel. Everyone, and we're pulled in a lot of different directions. But my observations on those first few nights, I was really taken back by the number of people that were downtown, by the bars, as many bars as we have. And the first couple of nights, it was, there were some scattered outbreaks of disorders that you would expect in any type of bar establishments, and whether it's Richmond or Nicholsville or wherever. But we have made a concentrated effort, and one of the things that I have asked for, Fridays and Thursdays are kind of what we call our heavy nights on personnel. And I have asked each sector to send one patrolman down on those heavy nights. And I have asked them to be very visible in circulating from Main Street to Broadway to Short, and down to MLK and back. I have essentially just asked them to circle the area to be seen and to be visible. That along with I've been able to backfill 2 empty spots that I had with my downtown entertainment district unit. So I now have an additional 2 bike units that I deploy downtown on the weekend. So on any given night, we'll have between 13 to 15 officers on a Friday and Saturday night on bikes, on foot or in 4-wheelers in the downtown area, as well as 3 patrol officers that help discourage some of the motorcycle noise and some of the loud music that goes on downtown when they have a marked unit behind them or in the area. So since then, I think it has been fairly business as usual. We did have an incident at Mama Tequila's this weekend. We are not sure if it was someone that fired a shot or if it was a firework. We viewed the videos in the area. We didn't see anybody running from the area. But it was kind of, the call came in as a possible shots fired. We can't necessarily confirm that. When we watch the video, we don't see people fleeing as you would expect if shots were fired. So the crowds are large, but we're trying to make a presence in the area. Our folks are aggressively enforcing the traffic violations in the area. We do bag the meters. We bag them at 8 o'clock, and the bags say there's no parking from 12 to 5. We bag them at 8 because by KRS, we have to give a 4-hour warning before people can be towed. We do that to keep the congestion off of Short Street. There's a lot of congestion when people park on Short Street. And there's also, some of them are prone to hanging out in their cars and drinking in their cars, and it just makes that particular area very congested and very hard to manage for our officers downtown. So we try to make Short Street as clear as possible. It helps with the pedestrian traffic and walking in the area. But overall, my first couple of nights, I was taken back by the number of people. I have not been downtown after midnight in many years, and I was really shocked by the number of people that were down there. So, but I think it's going well. I think we have a handle on it as best as we can at this time with the personnel we have, and I have been able to, like I said, garner some extra personnel for the bikes units to have an area on the weekends.
Commander, do you feel that the Fayette County Sheriff's Office, is y'all communicating with each other to kind of help bolster what we have downtown?
They are. The Sheriff's Department's a really good partner with us, and they typically will do anything we ask of them. We see their folks downtown quite often. I saw them downtown 2 times I was down there, and they were talking to our folks. Anytime there's a particular problem, they tend to kind of migrate that way as well as they have additional manpower in areas. So no, they're very good partners with us, and we appreciate them being down there.
Good, that's good to hear. Questions for Commander? Anybody? Dougie, what do you think?
I don't think he hears.
Dougie, can you hear me?
I don't think he does.
There you go.
Yes, I can now. Sorry. I didn't catch your question. I'm driving to Eastern Kentucky right now, so I'm in and out of different spots. But what was your question?
I hope you heard Commander Johnson's report. Do you think things are stabilizing, getting better?
Yeah, so the only big part that I missed of his report was when you asked him about the sheriff's and I was very curious to his answer.
Well, I'll let Commander speak for himself, but just an executive summary, they seem to be working well together as partners, and he finds that they will respond to whatever direction the Commander Johnson puts to those 2 officers that are there to supplement. So I read it as a positive comment.
Okay, that's good.
They typically will do, they kind of, they look to us for some direction. And so anytime that we have an incident down there, we can simply just call on them. Usually they're within non-distance or radio shot. And if they hear something going out, they're one of the first ones that are there to help back our folks. So we had an incident this weekend with a young man that was being disorderly and very combative, confrontational towards a couple of our officers. And when I watched the body worn camera of the incident, there's 2 Fayette County sheriffs that are right there backing our folks. So that was very much appreciated.
Good.
Commander John, I have a question. As we head into Keelan and football over the Keelan weekend, is there any additional support in the month of October?
I'll tell you, we're really, I have a lot of meetings coming up. As you know, we have a lot of things going on in Lexington that causes us to have to redirect personnel and manpower. UK football is one. This past weekend I had, I believe, 94 officers that were assigned to that event. There's security concerns, and there's also traffic concerns, as you can imagine. We have Roots and Heritage this weekend coming up. We have Breeders' Cup, and I have a meeting following this tomorrow. It's actually tomorrow. Coming up, we have concerts coming into town, and we'll have UK basketball. So we will be stretched thin, but we will keep our numbers the best we can downtown. Now, in UK days, typically what I'll do is I'll pull the bike units during the game time hours over towards campus to kind of keep things in order on campus. But as soon as the game's over with, they go back downtown, which typically for us, because most of our problems that we're having don't occur until after midnight. So they're back downtown by the time they are needed there. So we should be fine. Knock on wood, no injuries, no military deployments, things like that tend to hurt us sometimes. So right now, I think we should be okay.
Anyone else have any questions?
This is Dougie. I just wanted to chime back in. I do think that we're moving in the right direction. There's been a lot of meetings and conversations concerning downtown safety. And I think for the most part, things are better. We continue to have the occasional shots fired stuff that, it's just really hard to do anything about that. It's people that aren't customers of downtown, just happen to come through. So I think the crowds that are downtown for the most part are improving. It's just the random situations where somebody decides to do something stupid.
So I do think the extra presence is helping, specifically these last couple of weekends. There's been a lot of extra police presence downtown, and I think that really helps a lot. As far as the sheriff's units, you get mixed reports from the business owners downtown as far as their role and what they will and won't do. I do agree that they probably do provide good backup, and when there is an incident, they are, they're right there and they're helping out. Some of the business owners downtown feel like those resources would be better spent with overtime, actual help.
I think we lost you, Dougie. There you are.
Sorry about that. So obviously that's probably hard to do right now with the staffing issues that the police department is seeing. But I have received a lot of comments from business owners that, additional officer support would probably be better use of those funds than the sheriff's department. But I'm glad to hear that Commander Johnson is reaching out to those guys and giving them some direction. I think that was part of the issue, is they're mostly just standing there, and there's value in that. But when there is a need, to come over and address a situation at a local business, the response that I'm hearing mostly is that at that point, they just call for the officers that are already downtown to come handle that situation. But overall, I'm pleased with the attention that the area is getting, and what we're trying to do to solve some of the issues. Unfortunately, obviously, a lot of the issues are issues that a lot of cities across the country are dealing with. So I think we're doing a fairly good job of what we can control. That without additional officers, it's just harder to do. But that presence, having the officers come down and drive around, all of that stuff is huge when it comes to letting people know you're not just going to come downtown and act all crazy. And then the meeting that we had last week with SP Plus was a positive meeting as well. Took away some good things from that I think can help make sure that we keep that parking lots under control. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Dougie. Any other questions for anybody for the commander while we have him?
I've got a quick question. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, Clay, go ahead.
Hey, thanks for being here, Commander Johnson. I really appreciate it. You mentioned at one point that at any given day there could be 13 to 15 officers downtown. I'm just curious what kind of increase that is from maybe a couple months back, and what hours are those officers working? Are they working into the late hours of 2 a.m. or 3 a.m.? I don't want to be presumptuous that they can take those times, but just curious about that.
Yes, most of those officers are, I have two additional are extras from the last time we had, on a busy night, or a good night, I should say, I would have anywhere between maybe 10 to 12. I now have, with the addition of the 2 extra bike units, and being able to convince patrol to send 3 patrolmen downtown, and so we have about 5 additional bodies downtown in the downtown area. 3 of them, I really just wanted to be visible. The patrol, the marked units, there was a conversation had in a meeting a few weeks ago about wanting to have more visibility. And when I went down there, one of the things I observed is we had a lot of bikes. The bikes are really beneficial downtown because they can maneuver and they can get down alleyways, and they can respond a lot quicker than one of our marked cruisers can. So that's why we use them downtown. But having the marked presence with a cruiser is really important for the vehicular traffic, and those that come by and scratch off or rev their engines, and they're not really worried about a bike chasing them down. They'll take off. But I think the cruisers discourage that. So I think we're probably about 5 more officers heavy than we were probably the last update we had. And I have also asked if you all that work downtown, you may notice large groups of police officers that may meet at certain times. What I have done is I have asked for each sector to have their evening roll calls downtown on weekends. So what that means is the supervisors typically every night will have an evening roll call. They will call all their people to a particular location, and they're just checking on everybody, making sure everybody's safe, everybody's okay, no issues that need to be reported. Sometimes they would do that at the sector offices, but I've asked them to come downtown on the weekends. So you may see a very large number of officers because all three sectors could be in different areas in downtown. And I've done that just to give more of a visibility, a high visibility for officers in the downtown area. That will not be long-lived. Their roll calls usually about 15 minutes, and then they'll disperse and their shifts will be over. So that's for second shift. As far as their hours go, and I chase rabbits sometimes, but most of those guys will be on duty and working until 4 a.m. Most of them. Some of them, I believe, get off at 3. By the time 3 gets there, it's typically fairly manageable. It's like the one problem we had this weekend. This guy's known to us. The problem, anywhere he goes in Lexington, we've arrested him numerous times. We arrest a lot of these folks that are causing the problems. The ones that have guns, we've arrested multiple times while they're out, as for someone else to answer. But, the people's like Dougie said, most of the people down there are trying to have a good time, and there's a handful that come down after hours, and they are your known troublemakers. We know them, most of them, and they're very combative towards us. They're very combative towards our officers. I had to watch a video this weekend of one of these young men, and it's amazing just the disrespect they have towards authority. And the officers are simply doing their job. And if he had been somewhat civil towards them, it probably would have turned out a whole lot better. But it is important, though, that when we do have to have that enforcement downtown, that we get support from the community, because we don't want confrontation. Our guys just want to work and go downtown and let people enjoy themselves, and they don't want the confrontation. So when that confrontation does arise, for the community to support our officers. And if you'll notice, there will be people videoing, there'll be people antagonizing officers. The girlfriend showed up and began to curse and scream, and so when you see those things and things go south, I just want everyone to know that we try to avoid confrontation, and we try to throw water on the fire, I guess. And so when those confrontations sometimes arise, it's not because we've instigated or we want that. So if you were downtown this weekend and witnessed that particular event, I hope you could see that our officers were doing everything they could to keep this young man calm and try not to draw a crowd to the areas. Hope I answered your question.
Major Johnson.
Sure.
Commander Johnson, I have a question for you on that. Do you think it would help your public support if there was a little bit more communication from the police department regarding what you guys are doing? Number one, what the safety issues that exist downtown are, and then what you guys are doing to combat it. Because I live downtown, and I think from a resident perspective, there's not a whole lot of public communication that goes out to what's being, so one, acknowledging that the problem exists, and secondly, what's publicly being done. But there's obviously things being done behind the scenes, but there's not a whole lot of public communication on that. So I think if there was a little bit more, through social media, news briefs, stuff like that, I think it would educate people a little bit more on this is a problem, this is what we're here to address it.
Yes, and I wish it was really, it is that simple, and yet it's not that simple. There are certain things that we can do and can't do by law. There are certain things that we can say and can't say that could potentially have problems in the courtroom if there were arrests made or charges made. and it becomes very, it's a balance that you have to really kind of walk a fine line to make sure you're not doing anything that's outside of your boundaries or that's going to cause particular problems in court. And then there's always political issues as well that are a little harder to talk about because you don't want to step on feet. And those can be the bigger hurdles. The political hurdles can be some of our biggest hurdles. You know, speaking frankly and honestly and openly is very difficult sometimes because of the way people perceive honesty and in your observations of things. So you just have to be very careful about, you know, what we do and what we say, because it can be construed completely out of context, and then our police department ends up fighting a battle in the media that we don't need.
Yeah, and absolutely, and I would say, you know, this is a combined comment both for, you know, the mayor's office and Chief Brothers. I was like, no news is better than taking something out of context. Because right now, publicly, outside of an announcement that, you know, the lights are being out and stuff like that, but there's no real public comments that are going on to acknowledging that there is a big problem downtown. I think it would be difficult for any of us to say that there hasn't been a problem downtown. And definitely these are the steps along the way that we're doing to address it. I think having some public information out there is better than people just making assumptions.
Yes, when we try to have these meetings. I've only been in this position for about 6 weeks. I've probably had 5 meetings in the downtown area over things. So we try to communicate via these meetings, and we try to use our PI, or Public Information Office, to put out things through social media. Again, I really wish that you all could see the work that is being done. But because
I live downtown, so I'm out there in it, so I definitely see, and I know a lot of side officers, so I know this stuff's being done, but talking to residents in my building, other people downtown, you know, there's not a whole lot of public acknowledgement that there's a problem and the steps that's being taken to address it. That's kind of the feedback that I've gotten from people in my building and other people downtown.
Well, we may be able to do something a little bit better with that with our public information officer. Maybe we could put some more information out. I know Hannah goes to a lot of meetings as well, and she's trying to be very vocal about what we're doing downtown. She's been a pretty good advocate for us on the steps that we've been taking to try to help. So I've also encouraged our folks that are downtown. Some personalities are different, as you know. There are some officers that are just very robotic, and then there's some guys that are just very outgoing and they can talk to people. And we've encouraged them to talk to folks downtown and solicit feedback and to get information and to not be so standoffish. Sometimes police become standoffish because they feel that people don't like them, and so they just kind of withdraw and keep to themselves. So we encourage them to talk and communicate, so we can try to do a better job of that.
My officers are amazing at that. I think they do an excellent job on them.
Good. Glad to hear you. Thank you.
Hey, Commander, at the risk of putting out too much information about what's going on and the problems that you're having downtown, if you put out too much, wouldn't that tend to scare a lot of people from coming downtown?
Okay, I'll make sure I understand your question. So if we put out, are you saying if we put out too much information on like the shootings and things like that, it might discourage people from coming downtown?
Yes, sir.
Is that what you're asking? And it can, yes. It's just like the mall. You know, you have an incident at the mall, and now you have people that are afraid to go to the mall, so it hurts business at the mall. So you're right, it's a balance, because you have businesses downtown that don't want that negative publicity, and then we also have the responsibility to communicate potential dangers to the community, and so we kind of get it from both ends. So it's really a balancing of responsibilities and communication that we have to think of when we're battling these problems.
And I would say on that, the information's already out there. Like, it's no secret via social media and other things. So what I'm advocating is not necessarily sharing too much. I'm advocating just simply communicating, because, I mean, if you follow any social media page, I mean, people are posting that these shootings are happening. I live downtown, and it's a very regular occurrence. This isn't a one-off small shooting. Or something like that. So I'm saying address this and say, okay, now there is an issue. These are the things we're doing to take care of it. That way, combating. And you know, I manage a hotel in Lexington also. Like, if you're a guest living downtown and you see this on social media, but you don't see anything from the city or the police department saying how they're addressing it, that's what I'm advocating. Not necessarily speaking of oversharing, but just saying we have a plan. We're taking care of this, and these are the steps we're doing to address it.
Maybe you could come to the safety meetings. I'm sure that would help you get informed about stuff. Because that's how me as a business owner stays informed about it. To get somebody from the business.
And I'm not speaking specifically for, you know, yeah, I can attend a meeting or something to get that information. I'm saying that if I'm just a regular resident, not attending one of these meetings, that information is not out there. Right now, this information is specifically only being shared in the meetings. But if if I walk to any one of my neighbors in the building that's not in the meeting, how would they know that information? There's nothing publicly being shared through media, social media, or other outlets.
Jason, I do believe that with the mayor's press release a couple of weeks ago, I mean, that was part of the intention, and I do understand that there is more that can be done, and I think this is very helpful feedback, and you're right, we are in this meeting, and you know, some of us are in these downtown safety meetings where we share and get a lot more updates, but I also believe that part of our role with this board and our role in downtown is to help share accurate information in an informal way, and obviously to do more as we're able to with the Public Information Office, as Commander Johnson has shared. And I do think that they are trying to be proactive in sharing as much information as they can. And I think you know, you have provided some really valuable feedback about maybe more consistently doing it across different channels. So I do think that is helpful, and that we all have to be ambassadors in that process. Because some of what we're talking about with rumors is about information that's being shared informally. So I think that it has to go both ways. But this is helpful feedback, and I think that in our conversations with the mayor's office, I'm glad to share it. You know, their press release hopefully was helpful. Maybe there's more that could be done there in different intervals.
Yeah, this has been a good discussion. I think it's worthwhile, Jason, and it's good to vet it out. And Commander Johnson, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate your expertise and your service and all you do for us. I think in the interest of time, we need to keep moving on here if we could. So David, I always do this to you. Keep it brief. Tell us what's on the street.
It's going to be very, very, very brief. I needed $84.
Woodford and Irene. That's all you got to have. We'll split it. You got it right there.
She could bust the hat.
That's
I
right.
spoke with Ms. Collar, and I've got the approval for to use the Blue Horse image, and we wanted to add it to the branding on some of the mega brews to coincide with fall meats and Kingland, but we just haven't come up with a design yet to put on there. The design, the logo, the brand itself only costs $42 a set, and it may be more than that as far as getting more than one or two designs, get a couple of different ones, and that was all that I had needed. But the only thing is we're just working on the design to come up with for the add-on to the branding.
Where do you want to put the new design?
On the mega brews that we set out, that are big trash cans.
Oh.
And it's like advertising for the management district.
Oh.
And we're gonna just add something that is, and they're gonna be purple. so it's something just to add a touch for us and put DLMD on there.
Good. Any questions for David? You've got his report in the files. We always get all the different things that they've done. And continue to do a wonderful job, and we can't thank you enough for all things you do and your crew. Wonderful. Carla, you want to do a brief communications report?
Sure. First of all, I just really would like to thank Laura and Harrison at DLP. They've been so great to work with, and I think we've worked really well together as a team. Went to a meeting recently with Independence Bank, who's going to be a new property owner downtown, and so that went really well, and they've just been real helpful stepping up with other things. And David's team, we've gotten 2 testimonials from people who've been bragging on the work that they do, so we put those on social media and have just gotten about a 10% increase in page followers. We had a post reach of 5,600 people last month, so that's going really well. Thanks to Hannah, we're going to be doing a government TV segment, so we're taping that on September 20th, so be on the lookout for that in the coming months. We distributed a newsletter on the 22nd of July, and we'll do another one this month. Thanks also to the McBrewer team for updating the database, so we've gotten some things together on that. I'm going to a ribbon cutting today for Independence Bank, and then September 22nd at 1 p.m. the John Henry sculpture unveiling. Juan mentioned that the DLMD spent $10,000 to help with that move, so that will be at 1 p.m. the 22nd. If you all can make it, it'll be at Central Bank Center.
Good. Any questions for Carla? I know she's trying to focus on getting the word out on the different media platforms of what we do and who we are, and I think we've made some good strides and continue to do so. So thank you very much.
Oh, if I could put in a plug for those of you who haven't sent in a quote and a photo, to please do that. We're featuring board members, and we've gotten really good response to that. If you need help formulating a quote, just let me know and I can work with you on that.
Good. All right, and committee reports, lighting improvement, our property lighting grants. We have a proposed application, changes we want to make and recommend. Are you going to handle that?
Clay, do you want me to handle that, or do you want to talk about?
Go ahead, Carla.
Okay, so we had one grant application that the committee recommended approving, and there's some information in your packet. It's MWM Consulting. They do economic development and site selection, and they're at 135 West Short Street. And they're doing a lot of work. They're painting the exterior to make it lighter and brighter. They're doing lighting, signage, new windows, new front door. They're doing a lot of things. So what the committee has proposed is funding $9,000 toward that. I don't know if we need a motion in a second, or if the motion comes from the committee and we just need a second.
Yeah, I think the motion comes from the committee. We probably need a second. I'd like to have some discussion. Is anybody, first of all, do y'all know what we're talking about? Does everybody got a sense of where it is on Short Street? Do we have any questions or comments about this application and about the expenditures of $9,000, which are significant for us, as you will know?
Is there a limit to the application amount?
Right now, it's $10,000. The next thing that we'll be talking about is to change that. The committee has recommended some changes to the program, but so $10,000 is the limit.
And what's in the pot, 18?
No, we've got 43,000, I think, Juan. Let me go back and look.
That is correct,
Yeah.
and the combination of both.
So why 9,000 instead of 10,000 instead of 5,000? Where did the 9
So,
come from?
Clay, jump in here. I think the thought of the committee was we want to start to ratchet it down. The committee wanted to propose a limit of 7,500 going forward. So we're just kind of ratcheting it down. Clay, I didn't know if you had any other.
Yeah, we looked at when Carla took over how many applicants or groups that expressed interest in a grant improvement. I think there were about 9, and then we looked at the budget and what we had in the bank, and so it's easy to do the math that that'd be pretty thin if all 9 applicants actually submitted a legitimate proposal. When we gave all those users a deadline of when to apply, only 3 applied, and of those 3 applications, 2 of the 3 seem to be more management intensive, just property management, someone trying to get their space painted or their gutters improved. And so we really kind of zeroed in on the application that was going to improve the streetscape, for pedestrians, and someone who's going to invest a lot of money in how the facade looked to the public. So We landed on 9,000 for MWM because they're doing a substantial overhaul and improvement to their building, and a lot of it is on the exterior of the building.
Did they ask for the full 10?
They did.
You all settled on that?
What do we give Cycle U, 10?
Yes.
Have you told them your recommendations now?
Yes.
They okay with that?
Yes, they're very pleased.
Very pleased.
It's
gonna be beautiful.
It is a match.
It is a match. It can't, they have to spend at least the same amount, but they're spending 32,000, yeah.
If they're fine with it, I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. We have any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed to the grant? Okay, hearing none, we'll mark that as approved. And Carla, you have some, or
Yes.
Clay, whoever?
So also in your packet was kind of a marked up version that shows the existing property improvement program and some changes that we would like to make. So I'll just walk you really quickly through the main changes. The first one is to drop it down from 10,000 to 7,500. We wanted to make sure, as Clay mentioned, we'd had 9 applicants and we think more will be coming. We're getting ready to, we'd like to do a news release just to promote the program. First of all, so people will know what the Downtown Management District is doing, but also to hopefully get people to do some improvements in the run up to the Breeders' Cup. So that's the main one. We also wanted to focus on safety and lighting, and also to discourage people from applying for routine maintenance. As Clay mentioned, we had, or in particular, one that the downspout had become detached to the building, and they're, basically fixing the paint on the window. It was just basic maintenance stuff that property owners maybe should be taking care of. So again, to emphasize lighting as a vital component to that. And so the rest of the changes really just reflect kind of those tweaks.
The committee thought it was pretty important to add some sort of emphasis on lighting and safety with what's happening downtown. And also we needed to narrow the scope because the applications we were getting seemed so open-ended that we were trying to find ourselves being architectural consultants on what is actually property management and what's an improvement. So take a look at that language and see what you think, but we thought it was necessary to narrow the scope.
So, Carla, why did you all strike under grant reviews that the grant committee would be consistent of members?
We have members in addition to, so we could change that, but the committee includes board members, but also some outside people.
Like, give me an example of who's outside.
Andrew Moore with EOP Architects was one of them.
Is that just to get kind of their expertise?
Well, it's like the art committee. We have Kate on it for her expertise. So that's kind of what we try to do. Correct.
Are you okay with the criteria?
We okay with the criteria? So this is a recommendation from the committee. We have a second by Mr. Webb. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye to these changes.
Aye.
Would security also include cameras? I mean, I kind of struggle with that, thinking about it.
I think it could. I mean,
I can see lighting. But
I don't know.
That may come up.
We didn't specify it, but
Maybe need to be addressed at some point in time.
Because more and more, a lot of the establishments downtown are using cameras at their entrances and picking up a lot of things.
Businesses probably have cameras, don't they?
Sorry?
The majority of businesses probably have cameras already.
Right, that's true.
But the technology is getting more expensive because the camera.
Is it really improving the property? I mean, we've always had with paper tables and chairs and.
Right, and there'll be a discussion, I think.
Building removed.
Your committee will have to deal with at some point, Clay, I suspect, in the future. But I think you've got an affirmative vote to make these changes then to our criteria.
we'll get those changes put up on the website then.
Great. And we're running a little over. I'd love to keep these to an hour, but I think the discussion's so helpful with regard to safety, so I don't really have any problem with it. Any other comments from anybody while we're here? Kate?
I just have one, and this is more, are you all ready to start talking about the High Street lot? It might be good for this group to kind of hear what what's
Yeah,
going to
maybe-
happen up there.
maybe the next
But not
meeting.
rush you.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
You
That
want
might be something.
you by the month in November, you want to,
Yeah.
you bring maybe Dudley in to talk about it? Okay, that'd be
That's a
great.
big deal.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay.
I was gonna say, I drove through downtown about a week ago, 10 days ago, and the commander was talking about roll call. I think I passed the roll call, and it was really impressive. There were probably 10 or 12 officers at the Miller, Griffin, and Marks lot next to Village Idiot, or whatever it's called now. And it was 10 o'clock at night or so, but just an impressive showing, even if it was only for a few minutes, like he said. But it's probably a good idea to have him down.
Great idea, yeah, great idea. Yeah. Anybody, anything else?
Just that the east end, there's no more camping going on in Thoroughbred Park. Thanks to David and Parks and Recs and the police department.
Good, good. Believe it or not, next meeting will be November the 2nd. Wow, right in front of Breeders' Cup. Mary Queen, you'll have nothing to do, so come on over and visit with us, have a cup of coffee. If nothing else, I think we'll call the meeting adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.